Hello, this is a contribution from Kuzu Console to the Algorand ecosystem by Stephen Sunday and Seth Michael. In this presentation, we will learn how to develop a decentralized application in the form of a web app using the .NET framework to create account addresses and their respective mnemonic keys, which will be stored on our local database. Right here I have my Visual Studio 2019 open. If you do not have Visual Studio, go ahead and install it. So I'm going to go and create a new project. So right here we can see a bunch of template options available to us. So we're going to create a web application using the ASP.NET Core. Go ahead and click on this and click on next. So I'm going to name this web Algorand. After naming your project, go ahead and click on create. So as at the time of this recording, we have the ASP.NET Core 3.1 installed, which is the latest version currently available on this PC. So I'm going to go ahead and click on web application using the MVC design pattern. Go to authentication and change to individual user authentications, or individual user accounts rather. Click on OK and then head over to create. Okay, so our application has created successfully and it is ready. So let's head over to the Solution Explorer. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is to connect our application with the Algorand network. So to do that, let's first install the Algorand package or SDK into our application. Go ahead and right click on the project name, Web Algorand. Head over to Manage NuGet Packages, and then let's head over to Browse and search for Algorand. Okay, so we can see the Algorand SDK for .NET Framework to interact with the Algorand network. Let's go ahead and install it. This is the latest stable version 0.2.0. Click on Install. Click on OK and accept. So our package is being installed into our application. We can see right here installing the NuGet package Algorand 0.2.0. Okay, so our installation has been installed successfully and it is done. We can head over to the install section to see the package that has been installed. So we can see the latest stable version is installed. We could head over to the project dependencies. Instead of the packages, we can see the Algorand right here installed, the 0.2.0, which is the latest stable version. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we're going to create our model, which is going to contain the account address and the mnemonic key attached to that address. So let's go ahead and create a class inside of the models folder. I'm going to call this accounts class. Create the class. Okay, so we can see our class, accounts class. So we're going to create a simple CRUD operation like process whereby we can create our account address and the mnemonic key attached to it. We can also delete, we can view it. So we're going to have an ID representing our accounts, and then a string containing the address, and then another string containing the key, which is the mnemonic key. Okay, so having done this, we can head over. Okay, we have an error here. So having done this, we can head over to our controllers. Right click on the controller folder, click on add, and click on controller. Head over to MVC with views using entity framework. Okay, so let's go ahead and call the model class which we created. That's the account class. And then remember we created it with a user authentication which comes with a built-in setup for database, which is why we have our DB context right here. So having done this, click on add. This is going to install the NuGet packages, and it's going to scaffold everything, including the code behind for the controller and the views. Everything will be added to us, or will be added for us. We just need to go into the controller to edit and make the necessary changes needed when creating an account. Okay, so having done this, our controller class has created successfully. We have a CRUD operation connected to it. So this is what we're interested at the moment, the create function, the create functionality. Okay, so here we have this is the HTTP post which processes what goes into from the front end, what goes into the back end to get processed and then return the data for us. Okay, so it basically just puts in data into our database, which is what this whole code snippet is all about. Alright, so at the top right here we have a private read-only field for application DB context, and then a constructor for our account classes controller, which is also carrying the application DB context inside of it. This enables us to have access to our database from the controller. Okay, sort of like dependency injection like. So inside of the create, we have an instance of our accounts. This is a class. This is from the class Algorand.account. Okay, so by making an instance of it, this account has access to everything that is inside of our account class. That's the Algorand.account class. Okay, so with this account you can have access to the address, mnemonic key, and other additional details you want to get concerning the account class. So here, right here, inside of the account class, this is the account class you created earlier on, containing the mnemonic key and the address. So we have the account class or address. We're calling the address and we're assigning the address. Okay, the address should be equal to the account.address.toString. Okay, so the address we created inside of our account class is going to contain data from our Algorand network. So when creating it, we want to have an account address gotten from the Algorand network itself. We also have the same thing for key, that's account.toMnemonic. We're passing the account class.key, that's the key field inside of our account class, should be equal to account.toMnemonic. Okay, this is us passing in a mnemonic key attached to this particular account. And then we have a context. Remember, up there we have an application DB context connecting our database to our controller class. So which is why we have access to our context.add. We're then adding the account class after inputting these details right here, and then we have an await keyword context.save changes. This is going to save the changes made into our database and then redirect us back to the index view. This index view will display or return the list of data we have from our database inside of the account class. Okay, so let's head over to the create page or the create view. That's the go to view of the create method. We're going to make some little changes to it. We do not need to necessarily pass in data manually, so we do not need all these input fields. We just want to go there and create our address and the key attached. So let's go ahead and comment this out. Okay, every other thing can remain the way it is. So having done this, we can actually launch our application. Or before we launch the application, let's head over to our package manager console to perform migrations needed. So go ahead and follow. If you are following along, you can go ahead and run this migration, add migration, and then this is going to be the initial migration. Okay, so our migration was successful. We can see the data over here. So let's go ahead and update the database. Okay, so our updates database was successful. Everything is done. So at this stage we can go ahead and debug our application. Okay, so before we actually run the application, let's head over to our startup class. We're going to change some configurations over here. So inside of our endpoints, we're going to change the routing. Instead of the application taking us to the home controller inside of the index method, we want it to take us to our account classes controller. So I'm going to change this to account classes and then the index, just like this. So when the application starts up, it's going to take us directly to this account classes page inside of the index. So let's go ahead and debug. I'll start without debugging. Okay, so right here our application has started up. We can see the web Algorand app and the index view we just configured to take us to when the application launches. So let's go to create new, click on create new, and then click on this create we have over here. Okay, so right here we can see that our account address and the mnemonic key was successfully created for us. Mind you, I'm publicly displaying the key and the address because this is for testing purposes. Mind you, you should never ever put your key out there publicly for people to see. Transactions can be made with your key. All people need is your transaction key. With your transaction key, people can go with your account key, people can get your account address, and transactions can be made with your key. If you're running on mainnet or betternet, try as much as possible to keep your key private. This is for demo purposes, which is why I'm publicly displaying the key in case this is the first time we're actually doing something like this, generating an account address and a key. This is how an account address looks like, and this is what an account key looks like. Okay, so we can still go to create new and click on it to create a new one, so we can see another account address, and the respective key has been created together with the account. So at this stage we have come to the end of this tutorial. This is a contribution from Kozu Consult by Stephen Sunday and Seth Michael. Kozu Consult is a blockchain consultancy firm based in Nigeria.